Yes.
But
I
refuse to blend in.
Yes.
So I'm not going to learn your ways.
He left out of protest. He didn't want to be like the other BBC presenters. Quick question, guys. Had any freebies lately?
Yeah, well, this jacket was actually bought from me by a millionaire.
Really? What did he spend the rest of the money on?
That wasn't really 50 quid from TK Maxx.
Nice.
I can show Keir Starmer how to shop on a budget if he likes.
Yeah, other budget outlets are available. Steve, any freebies?
No, the opposite of freebies. When we did the MASH report, which is my BBC thing, I was the only idiot who turned up wearing a suit for the character, and then wardrobe took it afterwards. So I bought the BBC a suit.
Legend. Yeah. All right, well, we do want full disclosure, and I should say this show is coming to you live from Lord Ali's flat. So, just full disclosure. Let's have a look at the Sunday's front pages then. The Sunday Times has Israel strikes huge blow but braces for revenge. The Sunday Express, Kemi's vow to stop the boats. The Observer, Iran threatens vengeance over Hezbollah's chief's assassination. The Sunday Telegraph, Labour MP quits over freebies scandal. That is Rosie Duffield. The Sunday People, UK cops join in P. Diddy probe. And finally, the Daily Star Sunday, beware spiders in your Grundies. And those were your front pages. All right, let's kick off with the Sunday Times, I believe, Steve.
Yeah, well, they're going with Israel strikes, huge blow, but braces for revenge. Netanyahu says Hezbollah leader's death settles score. Full-blown war fears, of course, that's mentioned. That's what everyone's worried about. Look, I think it's definitely true that a lot of the decisions being made are more about domestic politics for Netanyahu. However, there's a part of me that wishes I could find more to complain about. I view it, there's two ways to look at it. What would happen if the UK received, like, 6,000 missiles? We'd have a word about it. And also what happened with, like, George W. Bush, after 9/11, did say, we will go after not just the terrorists, but anyone who harbours them, we consider you to be the same as the terrorists.
We're going to get them, folks.
Yeah. And that, we're viewing it a bit differently, but it's kind of the same, isn't it? Is that not what's happening here?
You're asking the wrong guy, but Leo is an absolute expert.
Well, I mean, this is a real strategic masterstroke. I mean, the pagers and the walkie-talkies, remember, they blew those up. So then that disrupted communications within Hezbollah and also forced them to meet at a place. And Israel have intelligence operatives operating throughout Hezbollah. They're completely compromised, probably in Iran as well. And so they knew where they were going to meet. They got tipped off. I don't think anybody in Hezbollah can trust anybody else in Hezbollah. Not that there's many people left, certainly not in the leadership, because they got blown up. I mean, tragically, there were civilian casualties as well. But yeah, I mean, this is really Netanyahu. It might have saved his bacon. He was really unpopular in Israel and possibly facing, prosecution for whatever, war crimes or whatever at home in Israel. So he needed something that would be an incredible victory that he could then parade in front of the people. And this is it. I know there's a lot of talk about Hezbollah or Iran hitting back. Iran have just presented nothing burger after nothing burger. They're going to fire some rockets that are easily shot down by Israel defences as a sort of, we're going to smite you from the earth, the great Satan. But Hezbollah are completely kaput as an organisation now. It's going to take them months, if not years, to become operative again, and Iran are going to do nothing. So this is really possibly quite a good outcome for Israel. Although I could be wrong, we could be heading into a bloody
World War
conflict.
III. Yeah. It's nothing on World War III. Those are the two main options. You're right, though. Iran seems to, they just sort of make a lot of noise and they say, we've won that, totally smashed it. They don't really do anything. And it does seem that way for the layman. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else to add, Steve?
No, I just like that idea that actually that bit of it, of not really achieving much but saying, well, that settles that score, we've won, is probably the only way to, end wars, is for people to be in denial and go like, well, we'll take that as a win then. What, you've just got your...
Well, let them save face if they don't blow up the whole world.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, what about the Sunday Telegraph, Leo?
So the Sunday Telegraph Boris, interestingly, says, I'm no longer sure medieval lockdowns defeated COVID. I wasn't sure in 2020. But yeah, it's good to see other people coming on board. But the story we're going to cover is...
the guy that did the lockdowns, though, to be fair? He it's a bit late, like he said, I'm not sure about that now, guys, soz.
But I think it wasn't him pushing for lockdowns. He's quite a libertarian.
What's the Prime Minister?
Yeah, but I think he was pushed by everybody else. Every single other person in the UK wanted lockdowns. Yeah, except for me and you. But yeah, the story here that's more interesting than Boris regretting his decisions, is Kemi Badenoch saying that not all cultures are equally valid when it comes to immigration, and failing to recognise that is naive. This is what Kemi Badenoch has said in an article in The Telegraph, but they've done an article about her article to get more mileage from it, I guess. So the Tory leadership hopeful says it's naive to think that migrants will abandon their ethnic hostilities when they come to Britain, or their hostilities to us in a lot of cases. You know, the people who blow up pop concerts and stuff. I mean, I think we see fights between, you know, various sects. I think Hindu versus Muslim in Leicester, but there's also people who want to fight us.
Sorry, who the good ones are then? Because I'm guessing she's pro-Nigerian immigrants, because she kind of is one, right? But only she was born in Britain, technically, and then she lived in Nigeria till she was 16. So does she sort of rank them for us?
Yeah. Well, there's two levels of this. Of course, the headline only gives you half the story. So not all cultures are equally valid. That's a bit harsh. And then the actual story is equally valid when it comes to immigration. Oh, that's a different question, isn't it? It's answering a different question about how you can have assimilation, how cultures can work together. It's a good point, but the way it's been written here is like, oh, who do you hate the most?
Yeah. Even Blair was saying something similar recently, wasn't he? He was saying, oh, well, when I was there, it was all high-skilled doctors from Europe. Now it's just blooming anyone. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah, now it's people who aren't high-skilled doctors, but we're still told that they're high-skilled doctors and engineers. We're being gaslit by the people insisting that we keep our borders open. And we're seeing, customs that were never seen in Britain before. You know, 100 years ago, there was no female genital mutilation in Britain. Well, there might have been some, but not the stuff we see now. Suicide bombing, stabbing people because they're infidels. That wasn't traditionally a British custom. No. But one thing Kemi says, I'm struck, for example, by the number of recent immigrants to the UK who hate Israel. That sentiment has no place here. Have you met left-wing people? Like young left-wing people, and some of the older ones as well, but so many young left-wing people just think Israel should be wiped off the map because it's a European colonial settler nation for some reason.
Or because they saw it TikTok.
Not for other reasons. I'm not going to do that joke. Yeah. Go on, Steve. Anything else on this?
No, I take the point, but I don't think the students on the protest are necessarily like, I've done so much research and this is my opinion. It's kind of like, oh, this is what we all think on campus these days.
Yeah, but not everybody who supported Hitler had, read Mein Kampf. They still support him.
I'm not saying it's good, but I just think they saw an Instagram thing.
We've got to move on. One quick note is that it also has the Rosie Duffield story, but we're getting to that in part 2 because it's about how awful Starmer is. So we want to give that the time it deserves. What about the Sunday People, Steve? Sunday People,
UK cops join P. Diddy probe, which I believe is one of the things he had at the parties. That's why you need all that baby thing. Look, so there's 2 parts to this. There's the actual news, which is terrifying and horrible, and so police, UK police getting involved. Officers have teamed up with the US to investigate why he was flying over here, claims he might have been attacking women here. He loved being in the UK, apparently. But there's also the part of it where you get to talk about how they found thousands of bottles of baby oil, which is a funnier part of the story. As someone...
Yeah, unless he's got thousands of babies.
Well, that's the thing. Like, as a baby, as someone who's got a baby, I don't even use baby oil, but if I did, you wouldn't buy that much. There's an upper limit of how old they'd be when you stop using it. You don't want to get into their late 30s before you run out. The only reason you could need that much baby oil is he's also been accused of, like, human trafficking. And maybe it was the women ordering it, because if there's one way to try and get away from him, it would be to be that slippery. Because there's that video of him chasing a woman down the hotel hallway. If she was like, grabbed her and she'd have got a shot out like...
Slicker.
Yeah, like soap in the bath.
I suppose the other reason is if you're running a black market baby oil sales operation, you're just importing and exporting an awful lot of baby oil. I've not really followed the story, Leo, but it sounds disturbing.
And it also sounds like he's got a lot of Boots advantage points with that many bottles of baby oil. But yeah, this is huge. It's unravelling. It's sort of like Epstein Island, the Epstein client list, except we're actually finding out who's on it. They're releasing it instead of burning it in a satanic ritual. So Justin Bieber, there's quite really unsettling videos coming out of P. Diddy, Daddy, Puff Daddy, whatever he's called, with Justin Bieber when he's 15, saying, really kind of corrupting things to him. Apparently there's a lot of East Coast politicians, New York politicians, who are involved as well. So, and
these are all allegations, right, to be clear, just to do my job.
This is all wild speculation. But the Justin Bieber thing, that's, there really is a video of Justin Bieber.
You've seen weird videos of him with Justin Bieber on the internet, but that's different from the allegations. Just doing
there's concerns that, Justin Bieber is under so much pressure from this. He's starting to behave erratically, and he could do the worst thing possible, which is to release another song.
Didn't he have a song that was called something that had the word baby in the title?
He said, I'm sick of baby oil Did he stop it?
That's the song. Yeah, that one.
He did. No, he basically did have a song like that. He details all the stuff in the song.
OK. Well, maybe, I mean, do we have time to do the Daily Star? Not really. Leo, do you want to do it in 10 seconds, the Daily Star?
So the Daily Star says, boffins, they've always got boffins, warn that beasties may be hiding in dirty pants. Beware spiders in your grundies. You don't need to worry about spiders in your pants. We live in Britain. It doesn't have dangerous spiders. If we were in Australia, spiders in your... I had a spider in my shirt in Australia.
Well, you're not thinking about those immigrant spiders, though, Leo. It's only a matter of time. Steve, anything on grundies and
No, I'm
spiders?
fine with it. No, you know, it's not the first time I found cobwebs in my pants, but that's for a different thing.
That's why we pay him a small amount. Those are the front pages dealt with. But coming up, Labour backs down on Islamophobia. The NHS faces an ethical dilemma. And would you let the government look at your bank account? I personally wouldn't want them seeing the massive figures I donate to charity. See you in 2 minutes.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, the first thing on in my mind when I heard about this is, what has this country come to when we're talking about getting kids as young as 6 years old to be jabbed weekly or however often it is because they are too fat? Where are the parents in all of this? There's three things actually here that are important. Number one is we do not know the long-term consequences of these jabs. So if I had a child and I was going to let them have the jab, I would be feeling like I'm treating them like a lab rat, to be quite honest with you, because we don't know the long-term consequences. Secondly, the manufacturers are clear that some of the potential side effects can be very serious. We're talking about potentially pancreatitis, let's get my word out, and also it lists as a potential side effect thyroid cancer. Arguably, it's called the gamble jab, to be honest with you, because of these potential side effects at the moment. And then thirdly, I come back to the parents. Where are the parents in all of this? Because they are the role models. So it really is about parenting, and it's about parenting from being a role model yourself in terms of being slim and healthy and not expecting a jab to take your place and other people to take your place. If you have children, they are your responsibility. Think before you breed. The other thing you need to remember with this is when you stop taking that jab, it is highly likely that you're going to put all the weight back on. Now, the thought of a child of 6 years of age, starting with that jab, conditioning them mentally to live with that jab, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely not on.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Nick Dixon, still here with headliners OGs Leo Kearse and Steve Allen. Let's do the Sunday Times. And Rosie Duffield is quitting the Labour Party as Starmer continues his tireless quest to alienate absolutely everybody, Steve.
Yep, Rosie Duffield, sleaze, nepotism and greed. Why I'm quitting Labour. Oh, looks like someone didn't get bought any dresses. But this is not it. I mean, Rosie Duffield resigned as a Labour MP, blaming Starmer's cruel and unnecessary policies and the freebies thing. Two things being blamed. It's not like they've been getting on for a while. You know, if this were a marriage, we'd be like, yeah, sorry, it was on the cards, wouldn't it? And she timed it well as well, because, I mean, it's not like Labour cares numbers-wise. With the majority they got, they were suspending people left, right and centre for looking at them the wrong way a while ago. And it's interesting that in an interview about not voting against the cut to the winter fuel allowance, that she abstained rather than voted against it, saying you're just going to get suspended and you might want to hang around to vote on an issue that means something to you. And for that, we read trans issues, women's issues. But now she's out because if you'd have been suspended, it wouldn't have been news. But to be the first, to hold now the record as the fastest MP to jump ship after a general election, this has scored some points.
I think that's cynical, though, Steve, the way you look. I mean, I think Rose Duffield's a person of great integrity, and she was absolutely brutal in what she said. She said, the sleaze, nepotism and apparent avarice are off the scale. I'm so ashamed of what you and your inner circle have done to tarnish and humiliate our once proud party. That is pretty strong stuff, Leo.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of my tweets about Starmer.
And I think she probably wanted to quit before the election, but she also wanted to get elected, and she wanted to cause, damage to Labour because I can't believe how badly Labour are doing. Never mind a honeymoon period. I mean, they just went straight. It was like Britney Spears getting married.
Yeah.
Like straight to the
divorce.
Like
just the flight. Yeah. It was one EasyJet flight was the honeymoon.
Yeah. And it didn't land anywhere near the place they were going. Keir Starmer, considering he ran for election on this platform of like, oh, I'm the most unimpeachable, the most pious, the best person. There's going to be no sleaze. I'm a pure, selfless public servant. And then also we're going to have the most efficient, effective managerial. There's going to be no more chaos. And we've just had chaos after sleaze after chaos, and it's amazing to watch. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and the other sense I got from the piece was that a lot of MPs or Labour Party people secretly feel this way. She's come forward and said it. Yeah. She hinted that more feel that way, and that Starmer's just completely detached from his party and just doesn't care what they think, and he just seems incredibly out of touch.
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised that anyone could not see this coming. If you knew in that wardrobe you got like 16 grand's worth of suits, you'd probably shut up about wallpaper. That's what I would have done about it. But somehow he didn't spot that he didn't join the dots.
Yeah, and he keeps saying like, look, I took that money, or I took those clothes, but I'm being completely open and transparent about it, and that's all there is. Then the next day there's another 16 grand or another thing. There's always another thing, and he isn't being open and transparent. And I think people don't trust him anymore. No,
and it's exposing the flaws in his character. I mean, it would happen if you had that amount of scrutiny on you as Prime Minister. Your character's going to be there for the world to see. People would realise I'm just a nice guy who's funny and smart. But Keir Starmer, they're realising he's kind of got a facade persona. Then there's the real Keir that we're getting to know now. Kind of a Patrick Bateman figure, maybe. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Let's do the Sunday Telegraph. And the new definition of Islamophobia is being reviewed on grounds that it's totally mental.
Yeah, so Labour are backing down on their definition of Islamophobia. So in opposition, the Labour Party formally adopted a definition of Islamophobia and incorporated it into their internal code of conduct, which all party members have to follow. So this definition states, Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. I mean, what on earth is Muslimness? That's not a word. I mean, Islamophobia shouldn't even be a word. There's so much wrong. Islam's not a race, for a start. There's white Muslims, there's brown Muslims, there's all colours.
Famously, a lot of white ginger ones. And the whole premise of Islam is one reason it's effective is that anyone can join, basically, right? They want it to be spread.
They call it reverting. So apparently we're all Muslim, we're just in denial, sort of thing.
We're all trans. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. And I mean, this definition could make, the Iranian dissidents who protest against the Iranian regime, they could be deemed Islamophobic under this because the Iranian regime is an Islamic theocracy. And I think Labour are really sort of waking up to Islamism as a political force. They really took a drubbing from Islamic candidates in the election. A lot of people, some of them actually lost their seats, and others, like Wes Streeting, Jess Phillips, came very close. Jess Phillips, had so much abuse during the election. And they're also worried about legitimate debates about issues such as polygamy or female genital mutilation being shut down. But this rule was always ridiculous. Religious belief is already protected in the UK, and these accusations are just sort of weaponised.
And it's a clash, isn't it? I mean, they like the Equality Act 2010, so it's a clash with their own ostensible values.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be allowed to criticise things that are, well, I'd like to criticise religion, but certainly religion adjacent, which would be included in this. Because if you can't do those two things, you end up having to join that religion. Like, it's only a few steps before you're like, oh, I guess I do believe then.
Yeah, because I'm not allowed to say I don't.
Yeah.
And you believe. Yeah. Also, is there an argument that they're realising that they need freedom of religion? Because isn't there an argument that in some future Britain, hypothetically, you could not be allowed to be Muslim, and then they'd want freedom of religion, right? So surely it's in their interest to protect freedom of religion. If in the incredibly unlikely event we suddenly had a Christian theocracy, which probably wouldn't happen, but you know they depended on freedom of religion to live freely in the UK, right? So they need that. Anyway, just a little point I thought I'd add. Let's do the Sunday Mirror. And a very 2024 question. Would you rather have rampant benefit fraud or a police state, Steve?
The DWP fraud check warning as bank accounts of people on benefits get checked first on 4 different types of benefits. So they've been granted new powers to look at the bank accounts of claimants. And worried experts have said it means they'll go after the means-tested benefits first. And you look at that and think, yeah, why the non-means benefit tested ones, you don't really need to see how much money you've got. That's kind of...
Yeah.
Of course you're going to check the ones that are money-related by looking at money.
It's whether you've got 16,000 in the bank. That's the figure they've always been obsessed with.
For universal credit, yeah, you've got to have less than that. But I don't know. I've read through this a few times thinking, I'm meant to be the nice one. So I'm not sure why I'm looking at this going...
On this show you are?
Yeah.
Really? No one told me that? OK.
Well, I feel
one.
that I am. Yeah, I feel... You know, we
I
chat.
know the real you, so that's why I was shocked when you said that.
But they aren't going after people on benefits. They're going after people who shouldn't be on benefits. But they've got the same rules for people dodging tax. So HMRC can look at the bank accounts of people accused of some dodged tax thing.
See. So
and we're fine with
already,
that.
yeah.
But if it's not saying we're going after benefit claimants. It's actually people who shouldn't be allowed that benefits. It's more money left to give to people who should be claiming benefits. So I'm not against this.
So you're happy with the total erosion of privacy, Leo?
No, I'm not on benefits.
I just straw-man your argument.
I think this is a slippery slope. Like you said, it's already being used to look at people who might be evading their tax, to use it for benefits. I think there's better ways, such as scrapping benefits entirely and making people work for a living. How about people work for a living? Ever thought of that? Like, if we're stranded on a desert island and like only one of us wants to go and pick coconuts and the other 2 are like, oh no, I can't because I've got ADHD. Like, no way, you don't get any coconuts. So, you know, I think we need to think about our coconuts.
But maybe that solution will never be enacted. So meanwhile, while you're waiting for there to be no welfare state at all...
They enacted it in Haiti.
Yeah, I like you framed it in Kamala Harris terms. We can all understand about coconuts. That's how I like my analogies.
A lot of countries have no welfare state and, you know, people actually get out and work.
Yeah, let's get rid of welfare state. All right, we agree. Let's do the Sunday Telegraph. And our beloved and benign NHS now wants to vaccinate people with Down syndrome against their will, Leo.
Oh, this is a really heartwarming story about how the state will look after you. So the NHS wants to sedate a Down syndrome patient for COVID jab against his mother's will and without him knowing. So the mother has basically launched a legal battle now to stop the state, to stop the NHS, the wonderful NHS that gave us Harold Shipman, from spiking her Down syndrome son's drinks with sedatives so that he can be jabbed with the COVID vaccine. So the NHS is sort of like Bill Cosby, but worse, because at least Bill Cosby, well, he did give you an injection. But a court previously heard that this kid with Down syndrome struggled to follow social distancing rules because he liked to hug people. So, you know, I can understand that. But this is COVID. We're sort of past the COVID thing. He's already had COVID. He had it. It was quite mild. He's lost weight. He's healthier than the average person. And his mother says administering the vaccine against his will mean he won't be able to trust people and his life will be filled with fear. And I think that's a fair point. I think the state should maybe just step back a bit sometimes before forcing medical treatments on people who haven't consented to them.
Yeah. I mean, I was appalled by this, Steve. And let's remember as well, you're still legally allowed in the UK to abort a baby that was going to have Down syndrome up to 40 weeks. So people with Down syndrome don't have the same rights as other people. I find it very disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this story almost is written from the point of view of, like, mid-pandemic. This is not about that at all. It's about moving forwards. They want the right to not have to go to the court every time to reapply, to be able to slip him a Mickey and give him an injection. So just in perpetuity, they are free to drug him. No, we're not living in that state at all. I mean, as it says in the article, effectively, COVID's now being treated like the flu. If this story was saying we want to give him a flu jab, and we won't charge him the 10 quid down boots, but we will put something in his drink to knock him out, we'd be outraged.
Yeah,
I find it very disturbing, especially when you've got things like assisted dying on the table. You've got a sort of Labour government that seems a bit sociopathic to me, very big state, very interventionist. I don't trust these people to make these ethical decisions at all. But all right, that is it for part 2. But coming up, Angela Rayner is furious. Fiona Bruce's fact check gets fact checked, and the positive impact immigration is having on the drug dealing industry. See you in a minute.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead to Sunday, it's going to be dry in the east, wet and windy in the west, with heavy spells of rain and strong winds. So we've had a ridge of higher pressure over us through today and through this evening, so that's giving some settled conditions. But this is the area of low pressure waiting out in the wings for Sunday. But back to this evening, many places seeing a dry night tonight with clear spells. We'll still see a few showers around, especially across northwestern England and across Scotland as well. But on the whole, we'll see some clear skies, and that will allow temperatures to fall. So we may see a touch of frost, but also some mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. But it will be a chilly start out there for some of us, especially across parts of Scotland, where we'll see a touch of frost in the sheltered glens. But still, across Orkney, we have got some longer spells of rain here and a few showers further towards the west. Across Northern Ireland, cloudier skies in association with that area of low pressure. But further to the east you go, drier here with plenty of bright or hazy sunshine to start Sunday morning. But it's going to be a different feel further towards the west. We've got stronger winds, and we have got a Met Office wind warning in force through Sunday with gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour, as well as some heavy outbreaks of rain. But further the east you are, that's where we'll hold on to the best of the sunshine, perhaps just some milky skies out there, feeling pleasant in the sunshine, up to 14 degrees in the north, and slightly milder further towards the south. But unsettled for many of us on Monday. We also have a rain warning in force for southern parts of England and Wales, so expect some difficult driving conditions and further flooding. Unsettled as well across Northern Ireland and Scotland throughout much of Monday, but turning drier as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, with temperatures up to 18 degrees. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates.
You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it? Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Let's get into it with the Sunday Express. And will the real Deputy Prime Minister please stand up, Leo?
Angela Rayner is furious over claims that she is not the real Deputy Prime Minister. So Angela Rayner is Deputy Prime Minister in name only, according to some people. Probably some wild Twitter speculation. But she was elected Labour's deputy leader by party members in 2020, and traditionally this would entitle her to become Deputy Prime Minister when Labour's in power. However, the Prime Minister is free to decide whether to appoint a deputy or not, and the role doesn't come with any formal responsibilities. And her package of measures to improve workers' rights, known as the Future of Work, which she championed in opposition, will be led by somebody else. So she's not doing that. And I think she's not getting the Dorneywood, some residents the Deputy Prime Minister usually gets. I think because she's such a fierce rival to Starmer, this is, Starmer's looking actually surprisingly weak, considering he's only 3 months into being Prime Minister.
I'd say she's days from being Prime Minister. I mean, you know what's funny though? The Deputy Prime Minister, especially in Rayner's case, it's been seen as a kind of made-up role anyway.
Yeah.
But now she's not even seen as the real one in the made-up role. It's just been given to her to fob her off anyway.
When she moans about, like, she said, I don't even care about a mansion. Of course she doesn't. She's bought enough houses.
Right.
It's not like she needs another place to but that actually says it's not you just making the phrase up.
Just wants it. She hates living in them.
Yeah, just wants to sell it and make a sweet dollar. But it actually says in the thing written in the Sunday Express, according to some people. That's not you just using those words. These are journalists, just like, according to some people. According to people who work at the Express, probably.
That's like worse than a Wikipedia citation.
Yeah, probably that. It's a Donald Trump, people are telling me.
Many people.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's made up.
Poor Landry. I mean, she's relatively likeable. I mean, I know she's up against Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and Bridget Phillips, but she could end up being the people's princess.
She looks like she'd be fun at a party if we're still allowed to have parties in Keir Starmer's
you
Britain.
mean for Ibiza DJing and dancing?
Yeah, and
you wouldn't want her in charge of anything.
No. Well, she definitely shouldn't be Deputy Prime Minister.
She needs to cut her hair into that weird bob, and then she'll be respected by Starmer, I think.
I like how she says she doesn't care about a mansion. She says, I care about looking at the British public who have entrusted me from my background to get where I am. I love how left-wing politicians always think that the fact that they're working class is some sort of achievement. It's like, we can all have poor parents. That's not amazing. Like, oh, you worked so hard to be poor.
Yes, you're right. It doesn't qualify you to be Deputy Prime Minister or Prime Minister in the next week. Let's do the Sunday Express and something we almost never hear about, BBC bias, Steve.
Yeah, BBC's...
Your old mates.
My old working partners. BBC Fiona Bruce... Actually, although I was fired by them, so I suppose it's not necessarily... I might bring some bias.
So this is great for you. You're loving it.
BBC's Fiona Bruce in question time bias, quote marks, row after halting show for reform correction. Lots of words there, just not really helping us understand it. So here's what happened. We can fake some outrage as we go along, but
almost nothing is what happened.
Basically, almost nothing. Reform Party chairman Zia Youssef said that the UK takes more asylum seekers per capita than France. Fiona says France takes more, then later goes, actually, you're right, France takes fewer asylum seekers per capita than the United Kingdom. It was corrected. If it was biased, it wouldn't have been corrected at all. People online said, well, there was no apology. Well, it was a correction. This is what you're meant to broadcast in that moment. Yeah. You've corrected the fact. That's absolutely fine. Meanwhile, I can't actually find the stats, though. I spent a while there looking for all the different stats. 67,000 in the UK in 2023, 123 in France in the same year. We've roughly got the same population. I thought it was a per capita dodge. I thought it was a much bigger country, but they've actually got roughly the same number of people. UK, according to Migration Watch, UK asylum seekers granted asylum at a rate 3 times greater than in France. I don't know where the numbers come from. They clearly found some.
We're both doing pretty badly, let's be fair, in terms of all this. So, but yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a suspicion with the BBC, the corrections are only going to come from one side. Though I do remember Fiona Bruce getting in trouble for kind of correcting something to do with domestic abuse, where it's seen that she was being biased to someone on the right, wasn't it? Or was it Prince Andrew or something? I can't remember. But she has been... tried to be pretty fair, I think.
Yeah, the fact that she corrected herself in the actual show instead of it being published as a tiny footnote on the BBC website. This is probably the only fair and balanced reporting I've seen from the BBC this week.
But to your point, though, when corrections are published in the Sunday Express that this is in, that'll be a tiny little thing right next to the Sudoku. What's this thing? Why is it printed upside down? Oh, they got something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a non-story. I hate to use Lewis's phrase, but it's a bit of a non-story. Let's do the Sunday Telegraph. And for those who say we don't want boatloads of illegal Albanian immigrants, I say, won't someone think of the drug gangs?
Yeah. So how Albanian small boat migrants took over Britain's cannabis market. So this is one of those heartwarming rags to riches tales. So hundreds of Albanians who crossed the channel in small boats have helped their drug gangs secure a stranglehold on Britain's cannabis market. They've been recruited as workers in illegal cannabis farms set up in rented houses or disused industrial buildings to produce crops worth up to £2 million a time, which can be grown and harvested in as little as 12 weeks. So this has been revealed by an undercover investigation into on Telegram. I hate them. The conversations between members of the group centre on the best chemicals for plant growth, the most effective way to harvest cannabis plants, the economics of securing properties for drug production, and why crossbows are better than guns to defend their crops from rival gangs.
I've always said that.
It's wonderful that this is happening here and not in Colombia. This is a real...
I hate to say it, but we need the Taliban to clear this. Like, remember when the Taliban had the best anti-drugs programme?
Yeah. Yeah, much like my how to stop benefit fraud. If you chop down all the poppies, you don't get any drugs. But yeah, apparently the Albanians, they're doing some pretty harsh gangster stuff. They're cutting off farm workers' fingers if they do things wrong, which makes it harder to roll the joints. And landlords are demanding huge chunks of the profit. And the Albanians have displaced our traditional British Vietnamese drug gangs. So this is really this is a real sign of changing Britain. You know, the Vietnamese drug gangs have been here since the Magna Carta, growing our...
Exactly. That's what the empire was built on.
Yeah.
Steve, this is a shocking, very 2024 story.
It is. I loved the description of some of the stuff they were talking about in this Telegram group, though, about which chemicals are best for... It comes across as like the criminal version of Gardener's Question Time.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you want to get some phosphate mulch on there. If you read it in that kind of accent, it's a delightful little story about how to
you cope with the just hellscape that is modern Britain.
Yeah.
Read it in a Gardener's Question Time lens.
But until they mentioned the Vietnamese thing, I was thinking, no, this story wants proper traditional British drugs growers. So a proper crop that will keep the money over here. But no, I mean, one way to stop this would be to legalise the wacky-backy.
Really? You just pushed in your little hippie policy?
I don't even drink these days. There's absolutely no way I'd partake.
It's the worst drug. It's the absolute worst drug. At least with cocaine and heroin, you hit rock bottom, and with cocaine, you might tidy your room. But cannabis, you just listen to terrible music and your house smells.
Watch any Peter Hitchens appearance. Go on, Leo, we've got no time.
Sorry, just really quickly. The reason so many Albanians have gone into the drugs market is because there was a crackdown on the underground black economy, the black market economy. So it made it difficult for them to find other jobs.
Right, great point. Let's do the Sunday Telegraph. And another story about the left eating itself. It's heartbreaking to see, but someone has to cover it, Steve.
Labour's private school raid risks forcing out ethnic minority families, according to Candice Braithwaite, who fears this government tax hike could stop social mobility. And the thinking is, it says here, that there are ethnic minority families working hard, working extra jobs to pay those school fees, and they might not be able to with VAT added to it. So exactly the same as everyone else. This is the same argument. Why is this a race story? Candice actually says, I appreciate you're extremely privileged to go to private school at all, but kids of colour, give me a break. Why? Literally asking for a break. She said, and for someone like me who's not pulling from that magical pot of gold. So she thinks white people going to fancy schools, pot of gold, it's easy. Children of colour going to these schools. But the more worrying thing about this is it was on BBC's Headliners podcast.
Yeah. I mean, they've obviously
that.
nicked that. Yeah. I was hoping you wouldn't mention that, but for legal reasons. Leo, what do you think?
Well, it just shows that Labour don't want to lift up striving families. They don't want to help ethnic minorities. They want to punish people. They want to hold people back. They want us all to be equally communist and destitute and ill-educated.
I know, I've always hated this policy. It's obviously going to just hurt people who don't have that much money.
Yeah.
Labour's like, private school, probably evil, we'll take their money. Is there any good policies they're doing? Returning the sausages, that's the only one. Is there any good policy? It just seems Labour's just getting themselves involved in every aspect of life and ruining everything.
And I think they paint, private schools as something that just, these billionaires send their kids to. And it's not the case. I mean, me and my brother went to state school, but my cousins, who, funnily enough, are mixed race, so they're the ethnic minorities that are being talked about here, like... My auntie and uncle scraped and saved and worked extra jobs to send them to that school, and as a result, they've been much more successful than me and my brother.
I would never guess you went to a state school.
No, I was going to say, when you say mixed race, do you mean half English? Because it sounds like that's what you mean when you say it.
No, it's my uncle's Anglo and my auntie's Saxon. So
nice. Let's do the Independent before we get in any trouble. And the dark side of tracking your partner's mobile phone. I'm guessing it's tracking your partner's mobile phone, Leo.
yeah, exactly. So this is about tracking apps like Find My Friends, or it should be called Stalk My Wife. So only a few years ago, it says tracking apps sounded like something out of a dystopian BBC drama, but today they're fairly commonplace. They do still sound like something out of a dystopian drama, but a 2019 survey found that 40% of parents and guardians use GPS tracking for their children on a daily basis. I think I'm going to start doing it too. And people use it for their friends, they use it for their partners as well. It can be an expression of affection and concern. You can see when you're...
It can be, you're on it.
Yeah, you can see, did your husband walk past that brothel or did he go in? You can see if he's going to be late for dinner, so you know when to burn it so you can get angry. When he gets home, you can check if they got to their hotel safely for their orgy. But it's creating this sort of sense of paranoia as well, which it should do. I mean, I would never use one of these tracking apps for my wife. If I ever let her out of her cage, I would just trust her to go where she wants to go.
The couple interviewed in here, one of them says, it helps us have, like, special surprises because you know when she's about to arrive at home to put the plate on. How can you have a special surprise? She'll know which shop you went to buy anything. You're being tracked. There was I know this is in The Independent, but it was a couple of weeks ago. There was a thing in the Times that said, should it be a red light if your partner, and I was thinking, you know, tracks where you are. It was refuses to have the tracking app. We've flipped it around that much that now it's a red flag if you're not being geolocated permanently. It's a terrifying world. I think the only way to have it is if you promise that as soon as this causes one row, it gets deleted. Because I guarantee you at some point there'll be a, what were you doing there? Delete. That's it. As soon as you start the row.
You've just got to go off grid and have no girlfriend. That's all we've got time for in part 3. But coming up in the final section, fat jabs, how to fix your relationship after cheating, and syphilis is back. Those last two may be related. See you soon.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
You could, if you're getting a bit bored later on and you've got some free time, tune in to Friends. Remember that?
It's on somewhere in the world all the time.
Probably one of those
incredible.
Obscure TV channels.
It's a big anniversary today, because apparently today was 30 years ago, was when it first hit the screens.
In 1994. Just before, or just after I was born, 89 me. The show ran for 10 series, becoming one of the most popular sitcoms of all time, and it scored numerous accolades, including 62 primetime Emmy nominations. Joining us now in the studio to talk everything Friends and the big anniversary is showbiz reporter Steph Tetchy and my friend as well.
Happy Friends-iversary, guys. Yes, today is quite a monumental day for one of the most incredible sitcoms to ever hit our TV screens.
That it's on somewhere in the world.
There's millions of people around the world who are watching reruns, watching either streaming of Friends, and it doesn't get boring for people. I think, 30 years later, just that it's such a simple concept. 6 New Yorkers just following their lives and their friendships. It proved a hit with loads of viewers worldwide.
The casting was super.
It was so incredible, and the thing is, these were all fresh faces at the time. It wasn't like they picked people who were at the top of the game then. And I think it was such a hit with viewers is because they became our friends as well over the years. But obviously today is played with a bit of poignancy because, there is one friend that is missing. And the creators of the show, Martha Kaufman and David Crane, saying that today is a bit fraught for both the cast because of Matthew Perry's passing, and he was known as one of the funniest friends, as most people would describe him as, and so today is kind of marred with sadness.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The king of breakfast TV is back. That's right, Britain's favourite TV host, Eamon Holmes, returns to Britain's hottest breakfast programme. Breakfast every day from 6 a.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to the final section of Headliners. Let's get into it with the Mail on Sunday and how to save your relationship after cheating. Let's consult our expert on this, Steve. Sorry, just how it fell.
It's going to feel like there's a court case there. But relationship experts reveal common habit ruining your sex life is the headline-y thing, but this is ridiculous because it then all goes into talking about the cheating. Don't cheat would be a good piece of advice, wouldn't it? American doctors John and Julie Gottman appeared on an episode of the Diary of a CEO podcast claiming that couples can repair their relationship after an affair. Then the more you read on, Clearly, John Gottman did Julie the dirty. It's all coming out because she only ever uses her when she's talking about the injured party, and then she'll do this. Like, OK, what did John do? They've got the AAA model, attone, attune and attach, which is exactly what... It's just saying sorry an absolute ton and then pretending you don't have any problems anymore. They also say there's no such thing as the one, which just makes statistical sense because that means, like, there's a 1 in 7 chance you're the one is Chinese. So, clearly, mathematically, none of this works.
And obviously, you saying you wouldn't want to go out with a Chinese person.
How are you going to find? No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so that's why you can't accuse me of that particular racism.
OK.
Is that the one or the one? W-O-N.
Oh, I get it. Oh, that's quite good. That's more of a... works on paper better.
Yeah. I was thinking of a Trump kind of like, I wouldn't date a 1. I'm more, if it, a 4 or below, I ain't going anywhere near.
Oh, yeah,
I get atonement because they've nicked that off Christians, but what is attune and attach?
I think basically they've just made up, like Steve said, John cheated on Julie, and as his punishment, she's dragging him around podcasts, and he has made up, concocted this attune, attach, and atone thing that he's got to read out. And I bet he wishes he just left her.
He's just going to be publicly shamed like Will Smith when he went on with Jada.
Yeah.
Those weird kind of shaming, embarrassment rituals.
Yeah.
Although she had cheated on him, but somehow he was still at fault. I never really understood that.
Yeah, it's modern life.
Because you've not attuned or atoned, whichever one the other one is attached.
Well, you guys are both in successful relationships, so you've obviously atoned, attuned and attached.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
I think the key to dealing with infidelity is just not doing it. If you do it, the relationship is bust forever. There's no way you're coming back from something.
That'd be hilarious if we looked at a story of just don't do it. And that was the whole story. That would be better, though. That is good advice. All right, let's do the Mail on Sunday. And Weight Watchers is struggling to compete with far easier solutions like Ozempic. I, for one, am surprised that fat people are taking the lazy option. I'm sorry, I was fat. Lewis Schaefer says I still am. I apologise, it's just a joke.
I was going to say, what do you mean were? Anyway, Weight Watchers CEO quits the dieting firm after struggling to compete with growing demand for fat jabs like Ozempic and Wegovy. So last year it announced that multi-million-dollar celebrity investor Oprah Winfrey would be leaving its board. And now they've said the chief executive is leaving as well. And Oprah has probably lost a lot of money if she's a multi-million-dollar investor because Weight Watchers, the entire business, is now valued at £49 million. In 2018, that's just 6 years ago, it was valued at £5 billion. So its shares are down 90% so far just this year. But over the 6 years, absolutely crashed.
Normally you have to make a woke Star Wars movie to lose that much money. That's incredible. Yeah. But it's tough. Weight Watchers is hard, isn't it? It's like hard work. You have to go, you're accountable. It's just like a slow method, whereas a jab... people are going to go for that.
You just hear a pop and then you're thinner. I think that's how it works. But this
and you die, obviously, a few years later.
This whole thing misses out the obvious. So you've got your Weight Watchers, some other woman had some scheme, loads of them are folding, you've got your slimming, all of these different ones. All of these systems are out there and everyone's fat. So they are failures. They're systems that don't work and now they're going bust, as they should. You can blame the jabs, but it's the fact that people were still fat after being on Weight Watchers for ages.
I think the jabs will fail as well because you need to change your lifestyle as well. Otherwise, when you stop taking the jab, you're going to go back to being fat.
That's the second pop you hear.
Yeah, my method is just no Lewis Schaefer, and he'll constantly tell you you're fat, and you'll either lose the weight or kill yourself. Let's do the Metro. And a husband has bought his wife an island so she can wear a bikini. I mean, everyone's self-conscious about their body, but is that taking it too far, Steve?
Yes, husband buys his wife a £37 million island so she can wear a bikini. An influencer claims that her hubby did this, Sudi Al-Nadak. I had a look on her Instagram, because I thought she'd be stunning. But she's got one video called "He's Not a Big Boy, but He's Got a Big Bank Account." Leave her! This guy is being absolutely... It's the trophy husband. Because the trophy wife, normally presumably hot, it's just how rich he is. You can wear a bikini down like in Oceana nightclub in Southend. You don't need your own private island for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything on this, Leo? Do you want to...
Yeah, like Steve says, or hinted at, she's not that hot. And if I was a multi-billionaire, well, I'd still be married to my wife, obviously, but... yeah, I'm not
I resent. I think we shouldn't ever comment on anyone's looks in case people tweet it about mine. Let's do the Mail on Sunday. And Generation Z are bringing back old school diseases like syphilis. Who says they have no sense of tradition?
Yeah, so a health chief has desperately urged university students to use condoms when having sex to bring down soaring rates of gonorrhea and syphilis amongst young people. It's like the Victorian era all over again. Well, let's have a look at those soaring rates. So last year there were 1,040 new cases of syphilis compared to 1,000 the year before, and there were 30 29,880 cases of gonorrhea compared to 30,000. So
gonorrhea can impact your eyesight as well.
Gonorrhea's gone down. No, this is quite a complicated thing to read.
You've only got 5 seconds earlier.
Gonorrhea's gone down. Syphilis has gone up 4%. They're not soaring rates.
Right. I look forward to the return of scurvy as well. Sorry, Steve, you've got nothing on that. We've got to go. The show's pretty much over. Thanks to Leo and Steve. Let's have another quick look at Sunday's front pages. So the Sunday Times has Israel strikes huge blow but braces for revenge. The Sunday Express has Kemi's vow to stop the boats. The Observer goes with Iran threatens vengeance over Hezbollah's chief's assassination. The Sunday Telegraph, Labour MP quits over freebies scandal. The Sunday People has UK cops join P. Diddy probe. And finally, the Daily Star, on Sunday, beware spiders in your Grundies. No doubt that was to do with boffins. Those are your front pages. That's it for tonight's show. We're back tomorrow at 11 p.m. If you're watching at 5 a.m, then of course stay tuned for breakfast. But for now, it's good night, good morning, and God bless.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead to Sunday, it's going to be dry in the east, wet and windy in the west, with heavy spells of rain and strong winds. So we've had a ridge of higher pressure over us through today and through this evening, so that's giving some settled conditions. But this is the area of low pressure waiting out in the wings for Sunday. But back to this evening, many places seeing a dry night tonight with clear spells. We'll still see a few showers around, especially across northwestern England and across Scotland as well. But on the whole, we'll see some clear skies, and that will allow temperatures to fall. So we may see a touch of frost, but also some mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. But it will be a chilly start out there for some of us, especially across parts of Scotland, where we'll see a touch of frost in the sheltered glens. But still, across Orkney, we have got some longer spells of rain here and a few showers further towards the west. Across Northern Ireland, cloudier skies in association with that area of low pressure. But further to the east you go, drier here with plenty of bright or hazy sunshine to start Sunday morning. But it's going to be a different feel further towards the west. We've got stronger winds, and we have got a Met Office wind warning in force through Sunday with gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour, as well as some heavy outbreaks of rain. But further the east you are, that's where we'll hold on to the best of the sunshine, perhaps just some milky skies out there, feeling pleasant in the sunshine up to 14 degrees in the north and slightly milder further towards the south. But unsettled for many of us on Monday. We also have a rain warning in force for southern parts of England and Wales, so expect some difficult driving conditions and further flooding. Unsettled as well across Northern Ireland and Scotland throughout much of Monday, but turning drier as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday with temperatures up to 18 degrees. Bye-bye.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates.
You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan tonight is your weekend dose of news, debate and entertainment.
This sounds like a wild conspiracy theory.
Don't miss My Big Opinion, Mark Meets, and My Take at 10.
Democracy is a funny old thing.
And we don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it.
Let's go and get another glass of that bubbly. You've earned it.
That's Mark Dolan tonight, Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 11, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Saturday 5, my friends. It's time for all of us, isn't it? I'm Darren Grimes, along with Chloe Dobbs, Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, Andy Williams and Will Kingston. Tonight on the show...
Suicidal march to net zero continues.
Forcibly vaccinating anyone is a crime.
Socialist sleaze shown right up. I'm loving it.
Why can't the BBC call a spade a spade? A terrorist is a terrorist.
Labour has a plan to fix a prisons crisis created by the Tories.
It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. A very warm welcome to the Saturday 5 with me, Darren Grimes. This is the only show where we don't just poke the woke, we roast them on a spit and serve them with a side of common sense. And I have to say, folks, there's something rather poetic about watching the same mob that brought down Boris Johnson over a slice of birthday cake that he says didn't even exist unravel faster than one of Keir Starmer's sausages. Speeches. It turns out that those champagne socialists aren't just bad at policies, they're also quite good at pretending to have morals, which is why one of their MPs just tonight has ditched the sleazy socialist cabal. And I told you last week that I would be sending my drinks bill from Reform Party conference along to Labour's squillionaire Lord Ali. I'm afraid to no avail. I sadly go through one more week without my own sugar daddy, unlike Sir Keir and Lady Starmer. Joining us this week, we've got the